You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Battista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So, if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your, stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Check yourself with Pastor Frank E Legette III, teaching your man to love you the way you want to be loved without him ever knowing.
Ladies, welcome. Well, I just have been talking to my next guest for like 15 minutes before we even hit record because he's just that guy. And you're going to love this. Frank Legette is a renowned life coach for women and an author. He has a book called The Art of Womanhood, teaching your man to love you the way you want to be loved without him knowing he's being taught. You all need this book, right? He provides guidance to single women over 30 who are looking for loving relationships and married women who want to improve their relationship. He started his journey as a life coach after he helped his daughter out of an unhealthy relationship 19 years ago. His daughter encouraged him to write a book, and he began coaching women and eventually expanding his ministry all over the world, helping women to improve their relationships and living happier lives. I love this. So I just really want to know, like, that moment when you saw your daughter struggling, you know, as a dad, as a pastor, as a man, because I have 3 daughters. I can't, so what was that like for you? And how did that moment inspire you to help other women?
So I was home alone. My wife was at work, and I had just finished breakfast. I was about to go upstairs. I was in the kitchen, ironically enough, like I am now. And on the wall was a wall phone with like a 25-foot cord, so you could just walk.
That, right?
Right. Remember that, right? So I'm about to walk past it, and look, I'm a pastor. I'm a man of faith. And rarely have I had these kinds of experiences like that, that was this strong. And the Holy Ghost said to me, call your daughter. And he named the daughter, because I got three girls.
Oh,
right?
like me.
Yeah. So a lot of times I ignored that voice, just not recognizing or whatever. This time I paid attention. I picked up the phone and I called her. And typically, because she's such an incredible woman, I mean, she's my daughter. Yeah, of course, I'm prejudiced, right?
Right.
So typically, she answered the phone. Hi, Pop. She didn't answer that way this time. She said, hello. And I was standing underneath the ceiling fan, and I stopped, and I looked up to heaven. And I said, oh, God, not my daughter.
Oh, no.
Marni, here's what I know. I've been pastoring, at that point, I'd been pastoring for like 20 years. And I know that whenever there is that much pain in a woman, if it's not a tragedy, if it had been a tragedy, she would have told me. She didn't say that. Because I automatically knew it was a man. I said to her, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, call me. I'll fix this for you. We hung up. 6 months went by. Now, she's a grown woman. I wasn't going to badger her.
Right.
And so we talked in between, but that issue never came up. 6 months went by. Phone rings. I pick up. It's her. She said, Pop, I'm ready. I said, you ready? She said, yes. I said, hold your hand out, palm up. She said, what? I said, hold your hand out. This is supposed to be doing sign language, right?
Right.
Hold your hand out, palm up. I could feel the frown on her face, even though she did it. Oh. So I said, if you do what I tell you to do, when I tell you to do it, how I tell you to do it, and why, I'm going to have that joker right there in a minute. She said, get out of here. She had been chasing him for 2 to 3 years and was upside down in the relationship. Because when a woman is chasing a man, she is making huge mistakes, and she's sacrificing her happiness and her health. We'll probably get to that later. And so I taught her the one technique I had at the time. I taught her how to do it and the psychology behind it. It is the one technique that every woman ought to have, especially married women, when the relationship is dead or dying. If anything can resuscitate and revive it, it has, and it will. I've seen miraculous stuff happen over literally in seconds. So I teach her that technique. She hangs up the phone, she calls the dude, and she does the technique flawlessly. She's arguably the best student I've ever had.
Obvious, but she's your daughter.
Yeah. She and she hangs up the phone. She ends the relationship. She hangs up the phone. 20 minutes. He's knocking at her door. He said, "What do you mean it's over?" She said, "Just what I said, it's over." And she put him out. And she called me on the phone. Now, here's what I forgot to tell you. Here's what I forgot. Before she hung up with me, I said, "You know what? If you do what I tell you to do, when I tell you to do it, and how I tell you to do it, I'm going to have him right there. But you know what? It's okay if you don't believe it. But when you do it and you call me back and tell me that it happened just the way I said it, I can't make you any promises, but I'm going to try not to say I told you so." Right. So she called me and she screamed in my ear, "Pop, it works." And I went like this.
Right, because you couldn't say it. It's so hard.
But then I couldn't, Marty, I couldn't hold it in. I said, "I told you it was going to work." And I started working with her, right? And I started teaching her the stuff. And so she said to me, one of the most important things anybody's ever said to me. She said, "Papa, you need to write a book because women don't know the stuff that you're teaching me." She went on. She met this incredible guy. They have 3 incredible children.
Oh,
and
that was the beginning.
That was the beginning. That absolutely was the beginning.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, your passion and certainty is contagious. But I think this is really important because, I mean, I was like your daughter dating that bad for me guy, and I wish I would have had that kind of certainty, right? Like someone saying like, "You want to find out if this person is legit?"
Right.
Sure. And here's the way and the thing that I love about this that you're talking about is this whole idea of I'm going to have him, if you're not watching on YouTube, and you should, if you want this guy in the palm of your hand, what that really translates to is how do we get our power back?
Absolutely. And you know what she said to me? She said, "Papa, for the first time, I feel empowered." It was a game changer for her. And it started me on this journey of coaching because I went to my church. I called my women's ministries leader. I said, "Hey, I think I got something here. You need to call the women together." And she did. And I did a presentation for them and they were blown away. I said, "Okay, I got something. I need to start sharing this." And my reputation just started to spread.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, so tell me, this is something I can't wait to hear. So I know you have 6 mistakes that women just make in relationships. Can you tell us about some of those? Because
absolutely,
I'm not perfect. I could definitely be making them.
So now, to describe this, I'm going to use the driving metaphor.
Okay.
2 individuals in a car, right?
Okay.
And so it is the driver in the car on the journey that determines the speed of the journey, right?
Yeah.
The driver determines if you're going to go 6 miles an hour or 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's the driver that determines the direction of the journey, whether you're going to go straight to the altar or you're going to go around Abraham's barn or get on a merry-go-round and never get off.
Right.
It is the driver that dictates the terms of the relationship. And it is the driver, and I'm going to make the application in a minute. It is the driver that is the pursued, and the passenger is the pursuer. Now, in a real life relationship, the mistake that women make, it is the number one. It is one of the main mistakes that women make, and it is this: women. I've never worked with a woman who has not made the mistake, and I see it in all the other relationships who don't come to me. Here it is. Women put a man in the driver's seat in the relationship before he has earned the right to occupy that space in her life. So he comes into her life, she automatically puts him in that spot.
Right.
He hasn't been vetted. She doesn't know if he is capable of loving her the way she wants to be loved. She doesn't know anything about this dude. And all of a sudden, he's in the driver's seat, and he determines how quickly this relationship goes, and how slowly. He determines the direction that the relationship is going in, if it goes to the altar or it just gets on a merry-go-round and never gets off. He's dictating the terms. Let me share this with you. I can't tell you the number of women in my churches or other women who come and they go to church, right? And so they have this whole spiritual code and scripture that they live by, and they know that being sexually active before marriage is contrary to what scripture teaches, right?
Right.
So they come to me and say, and so ultimately, you know, even if they don't say it, I know it because I can read their body language.
Right.
So were you sexually active? And they'll drop their head and say, yeah, Pastor. And I knew I was wrong. And a lot of them, the guys moved in, whole 9 yards. And she'll say, I didn't want to do it. But he said, I'm not being in any relationship where I'm not getting some of that.
Right. Where I got a test drive.
So yeah, I got to test drive that. I'm not being I'm not going on any journey where I'm not test driving that. So either you give it to me, or there's a whole lot of other sisters in the church that will. And you know what? They compromise. It is mistake number one. Because when you make mistake number one, mistakes 2 through 6 and 7 fall like dominoes. Mistake number 2. When you put a man in the driver's seat in the relationship before he's earned the right to be there, you automatically surrender your power to him. That's number 2. Number 3, you are now negotiating from a position of weakness. It's like sitting in a card game and the dude has 52 cards in his hand and you don't have any. You don't have any negotiating rights. You don't have anything to negotiate with because you've given all your power away to the guy and he's dictating the terms. Because many of these women today are chasing the man. It's an egregious mistake to make because he then has nothing to work for.
Right. Well, here's what I want to ask you about, because I think this is the sticking point or the rationale that I hear a lot, which is like, well, I'm an empowered woman. Like, I can go for what I want. Why do, like, that's so old fashioned. Do you know what I mean? And so when someone says to you, because I've even heard it with a little sass, like, why do I have to wait for him? Blah, 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 blah. So tell me, like, what do you say to someone who's saying, but Pastor Frank, I mean, why can't I drive?
Here's the mistakes that women make. Again, right? When you're pursuing him, you're sending the wrong message because, see, when you wine him, when you dine him, when you put Pampers on his behind,
right,
during the dating phase,
right,
you teach us how not to reciprocate because you're doing the work, you're doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
You're doing the chasing. You're doing the loving. You're doing the pleasing. You're doing the giving. You started on the downward path, and then we lay back in the cut. Can I tell you a personal story?
Please, I love it.
In my first marriage, if I say first marriage, it presupposes that there was at least a second, right?
Right, yeah.
Now, this is not sexual. But my first wife, Beverly, she was an incredible woman, an incredible wife and mother. She would get on top of me just to make a point and look me in my eyes and say, I want to spoil you and I want to pamper you. Marni, I looked up to heaven. I said, oh my gosh, I have arrived.
Right, the jackpot.
Here's what I concluded. The very least that I can do is allow her to love me the way she wants to love me. I thought I didn't have to put any work in. And so she was loving me. Her love was coming to me in torrents, but it was coming back from me to her in trickles. And after a while, I'm telling you, I see it all the time. I say it again. You can wine him, you can dine him, you can pamper him, you can pursue him, but after a while, you will have taught him how not to love you the way you're loving him. And he's going to lay back in a cut. He's going to get lazy. He's going to get selfish. And Beverly got down the road and was tired of getting from me what she got from me. And she drew a line in the sand and said, you know what? You are incorrigible, which I was not. I was incapable of changing. She ran off with her boyfriend, left me with the children. I've raised them till they were grown. She never came back.
Beverly
never came back.
Wow, she never came back.
She never came back. And I ruined a good marriage because I wasn't functioning the way God would have me to function as the man, as the head of the family, which Scripture says that I am. And Scripture is real clear. Ephesians 5:25. For any of those, and you have a gazillion followers, so many of them are gonna notice. Ephesians 5:25. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. Scripture never teaches a woman to love her man. Why? Because you don't have to. Women do that, or it's like, for them, it's like breathing. Men need to know that we were designed to be the lovers in the relationship. When we do, your happiness and your health soars into the stratosphere. So you can do it the other way. Everybody that I see who's doing, or women that do, they compromise their happiness. Not only do they compromise their happiness, but they compromise their health, because here's what happens.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
When you are pleasing me, you're doing the loving, you're doing the giving, you're doing the pleasing. What you are doing is you are teaching me how not to love you, because I'm laying back and letting you do all the loving.
Right.
And when you do that, you are going to cap your happiness, because I don't feel like I have to improve. I don't feel like I have to do better. I don't feel like I have to reciprocate and match your love, because I feel like, oh my gosh, I got this incredible woman and she derives pleasure by giving pleasure.
Right.
It will cap your happiness. And when your happiness gets capped and you get down the road and you get frustrated, here's what women need to know. Medical science is real clear that when a woman has a broken heart and a broken spirit, it cracks open a door to life-threatening illness and disease, including cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer. 60% of all multiple sclerosis patients are women. Heart disease comes from women having a broken heart. Medical science has coined the term, called it the broken heart syndrome. It affects more women than it does men, because women refuse not to be loved by the man that they pledge their loyalty and their love and their fealty to, right? And it affects their happiness, because when a woman is unhappy, two hormones are secreted.
Okay.
Adrenaline and cortisol.
Yeah, we don't like those, and they make us fat.
Yeah. Cortisol collects right here on the women. That's not always hamburgers, hot dogs, cookies, candies, cakes, and pies.
Yeah.
That's stress-induced.
Yeah,
right?
no, totally.
And those two are secreted because they're the fight or flight hormones that get you out of trouble. But their trouble was designed to be temporary, and then once you're out of trouble, they stop secreting. But when you live in a toxic marriage, when you are constantly in a toxic relationship, those hormones are secreted like a leaky faucet is leaking water all the time.
Yep. One drip at a time.
Absolutely. And it look, in my book,
I love it.
The Art of Womanhood. Dr. Don Colbert says being in stressful situations is like drinking acid. That's how serious this is.
Yeah, no, it is so serious. I think I want to just like highlight, like, you're just Like, first of all, I want to go to your church. Like, I'm just like mesmerized. I'm like, do you have virtual church? I'm like Jewish. I want to go to church with Frank. Like you just
and I am a Sabbath keeper. We keep sundown Friday, sundown Saturday.
I love it. But the thing that's really key here, and I love your passion, because for anyone who's like it, I think I'm just gonna call it in denial, because there's so many women who are like, oh, if I just do this, then maybe he'll change that. And if I do this, or I'll just put up with that because like we have so much chemistry, or I've never had something so great, da 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 da, or maybe when he gets over this, da da da. And I think like I really want you to like listen to this episode 500 times, because Frank is preaching the truth. Like this is about so much more than you're being frustrated or he's a jerk or it's, this is just this one thing, and look back at the patterns of your life, because when you dishonor the truth of who you are at your core, like the impacts on your whole life and your health and your happiness and all those things is like no joke, right?
Oh, look, absolutely. Let me share this with you. So when Bev left, I met this incredible woman behind me.
Angela.
Right? Angela, right? But I was still a knucklehead and an idiot.
Okay.
Until she required me to change. And ultimately I did. But before I did, Marni, here's what I want women to know. There's a symbiotic relationship between a woman's broken heart and a broken spirit and life-threatening illness and disease. When I was a knucklehead, she was in and out of the hospital because the stress from our marriage was affecting her health and driving her blood pressure through the roof. She could have had a stroke. She could have had an aneurysm, heart attack, right? And then she required me to change, and I did change. And when I became a better husband, her health improved, and she stopped going to the hospital.
Wow.
Women need to understand that there's a symbiotic relationship between these two. I can't. Now, in my churches and my personal friends, female friends, when their husbands refused to get better, they died of cancer.
That's terrible.
All those women, they died of cancer, okay? Because they refused to love their wives the way the wives wanted and needed to be loved. It is unavoidable. I'm telling you, when you're unhappy and miserable and he won't get better, not only is it going to affect your happiness, it will affect your health. I've had far too many of my friends to die needlessly. Right. And I believe that not one more woman needs to die from a broken heart. That's why I'm on this mission to get this word out.
So I know everyone's asking. So how long do you wait to see if someone will change? Like, is there a time frame? Is there a certain thing where like, you know what, he's not going to change? Because I think that's the magic question.
We'll see a couple of things. Mistakes that women make is you assume that we know how to treat you the way you want to be treated and love you the way you want to be loved. Here's what I need all women to know. You are the one and only expert on planet Earth who knows how you want to be loved and treated. And we do not know that. I don't care how many other women we've ever been with in our lives. I don't care how experienced we are. I don't care how old we are. I don't care how many times we've been around the block. We've never been with you before, so we don't know how to love you the way you want and need to be loved. Plus, when you start a relationship, a new relationship, what I want your audience to know is you are building a foundation.
Right.
Right? And if that relationship goes to the altar, on wedding day, you don't get a brand new foundation.
Right.
You inherit the foundation that you built, good, bad, even if it's leaning like the Tower of Pisa.
Right.
Right? Because it's faulty and flawed. Because that's how y'all function. You were upside down. The woman was doing the loving, the giving, the pleasing, and the sacrificing, which most women do in relationships. Women are 100 times better than we are. It's not even close, right?
I love you, Frank.
But Marni, the problem is your greatest assets. You are Nobody loves like a woman. Nobody pleases like a woman. Nobody is loving, is kind, is patient, gentle, forgiving, and faithful. But the problem is, your greatest assets are your greatest liabilities.
Amen. Preach.
Right?
Yeah.
And so how long should you wait? You shouldn't wait when you realize you're unhappy. Because here's the problem.
But wait, Angela set the boundary, right? She did something.
She didn't know. She didn't know in the first 7 years, because I was an idiot for the first 7 years.
Okay.
Right? And she got tired of being unhappy.
So she laid it down. She did the magic trick.
She flipped the script on me. And she started listening to my presentations. So check it out. No, seriously. So she's my partner. She would go, because we started this ministry together. And I'm teaching women, ladies, you need to teach your man to love you the way you want to be loved without him knowing she's being taught. And I would come home and I'd be a knucklehead. And then she would say, Frank, I want to be loved the way I want to be loved. And if you can't do that, I'm out. See ya. And I didn't want to lose my wife. I know girlfriend was serious, right? I'd be a knucklehead. And then I would say something and do something during the day. And then I would forget, and I'd climb in bed at night, and I'm ready to play. Girlfriend said, no, sir. Not here. Not tonight. Right? And by tough love, she taught me to respect her. Right? Because if we don't respect you, you're not going to get the love and the cherishing that you need. She changed. She forced me to change, because she wasn't playing game. She would have left my hind parts. I would have lost the best thing that has ever happened.
And then you have to follow through, because I think that's the other thing is, like, we can hear Frank's message and we're like, yeah. And then literally like 3 days later, we're like, oh, we have go into self-doubt, or like, maybe I shouldn't, or maybe I should give him the chance, or maybe he did that. And I think that's the biggest thing is, like, what you're saying is, your actions will speak louder than your words. So not only do you have to set a boundary and say, I will not put up with this, but you have to actually mean it and follow through on that. And I think that's a huge thing. It's, I saw this really funny meme yesterday. Someone sent it to me, and it was a cute little couple where the wife was holding a puppy and the guy was holding one of those little like sandwich boards with like a quote on it. Okay. And it said, my wife wanted a puppy. I didn't. So we decided to compromise and we got a puppy. and I showed it to my husband. He was like laughing and he's like, yeah, but that sucks. And I'm like, it does suck for you as the guy. But the bottom line is, I really think that like, it shows that like the guy who is really there for his wife, and we're talking about a puppy and we're making fun of it, but I think it just shows this dynamic. Not that like, men need to be whipped, right? Or that they need to just do whatever we want. We want them to obviously have self-respect. But I think there's just this idea that like of happy wife, happy life. And that if a guy can figure that out, then he'll be a happy man. And I know that's probably like sexist or like not politically correct or any of those things, but I feel like we're wired the way we are, and that's not going to change over time. So do you want to address that at all? And I know some of you are probably feminists, like hardcore, like fuck you, Marni, but honestly, I kind of believe this. So what do you think?
No, look, you are absolutely true, Marni. I've lived it. I have lived it. See, here's the problem. Women come into the relationship intent on satisfying and pleasing and the loving their man, their husband, to the day they die. Most husbands and men are on cloud nine. Why? Because you see to it that we're on cloud nine. Many women, unfortunately, are on cloud -9 because what you're giving to us, we're not giving back to you, because many of us don't realize that we should. Okay? You got to draw a line in the sand. You got to. Now, there's an art to doing it, and that's what I do in my coaching program.
Yes.
I teach the women, and I empower them. There's a way. There's an art to his heart. Okay?
So that's the part where he doesn't know that he's being trained. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't.
The art to his heart.
Look, I was doing a presentation. Let me tell you, I don't teach theory. I give women life-changing, life-altering techniques. I teach them what to say, what to do, more importantly, what not to say and what not to do. And they call me, say, "Oh, Pastor, this works." Oh my gosh. I'm talking about wives calling back because they had called me and said, "Pastor, if you don't fix this for me, I'm getting a divorce. I'm done." And then I teach it. I give them a technique or two, and they call me and say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. He's a different man." Why?
Amazing.
Because most of us, none of us have ever been taught how to fix a failing marriage. Who goes to that class? I didn't, right?
No, for sure.
Nobody knows what to do. So everything I will tell you, when Bev was leaving, she ran off with this guy, and I knew she was with him. Everything I did was wrong. And I drove her further into his arms. Right. So yes. Happy wife, happy life is true. Absolutely.
You want a guy who believes that, who gets that. I mean, I think that like it's a joke amongst men. I mean, I haven't really been in the locker room with men, but I think that if you ask any grown-ass man who's in a long-term relationship, right, that they're gonna elbow, right, and laugh about it. But it's the spirit with which it comes from, which is that like I understand that my wife won't take any shit, and I respect her. And she gets me and all of those things. And I think that there's a lot of value and what you said, and I want to underscore this because Pastor Frank preaches the truth, is the foundation that you go into it with is the foundation you will have. And so if you're expecting him to suddenly be different, it's not going to be happening. You can't wish your way into it or coach him or fix him or support him or love him into changing.
No, because you've already laid that foundation. He's already become comfortable. And when you flip the script and you are upside down in your relationship where you, ladies, have become the man in the relationship, he automatically becomes the woman. It's automatic. And so when you start that during the dating process, that's what's going to happen in the marriage. And in the marriage, he's going to expect you to continue that behavior. So you can wish and hope and, to the cows come home, but you've already laid that foundation. You need a particular skill set to change this. And that's what I teach women in my coaching program.
I love it. It's like what you're talking about is the art of the ultimatum, right? That is done from a place of love and confidence and self-assurance and knowing your own value. And so it doesn't mean you like come across like a crazy bitch, or right. You're like, it's probably even like the softer and more powerful you are. The guy's going to be like, wait, she's not screaming at me. She's just like chilling and being like, this is the way it is.
And let me say this to all your ladies out there, because this is my experience.
Okay.
Whenever Angela, and let me put it to you this way. Don't ever again go to your husband and say these 5 words. Ever again. And here they are.
Okay, I'm listening.
First name, in my case, Frank.
Yep.
We need to talk.
Write that down on a Post-it note, ladies.
Don't ever say that again. You know why? We anticipate a beat down coming. Right? Now, when God created us, he gave us, guys, he missed me. I'm going to have a conversation with him. He gave guys physical strength. He gave guys physical strength. Somehow he bypassed me. Balance it, Marni. To balance it, he gave women verbal strength. Most of us cannot stand toe-to-toe with you and talk and dialogue. You're too smart. Your brain moves too quickly for us, right? And so when we hear first name, we need to talk. We are anticipating a confrontation, and we know it's not going to go well for us. So it's like us sitting in a tank, and we reach up and grab the top of the tank, and we slumber down inside, and we lock it, and we're not coming out until the coast is clear. Why? Because you said, Frank, we need to talk. I know what the heck that means. I ain't going nowhere near that. You need another approach. You need another way, right? You can do the same thing with different words, It's the approach that will make all the difference in the world, because you want to turn him on, you don't want to turn him off.
I love it. So first of all, ladies, if you have not yet, and you all should, you need to go to the artofwomanhood.org and like obviously get the book. Because I was like, Frank, have you been sitting in my living room? Because sometimes I forget and I say that. Except I say it like I want to have a conversation. Like that means something different. I get to see my husband. He's like,
Ooh, right,
what did I do? What did I do? Oh God. Oh gosh. I love it. Frank, I could talk to you for hours. You're amazing.
I'm at your disposal, Marni.
I want to have you back on the show because we only got through 3 of the mistakes. We're definitely going to have Frank back and talk about the other mistakes. And again, the link to the book in the show notes, like all of his program, like you want, like this is. Like we all want to have a moment with Frank where we're the daughter and we just go like, just tell me what to do, Dad. Yeah, I mean, right? Like you're just like the best and I love you. And again, if you're not watching this on YouTube, you should really get over to YouTube because when you just see Frank, you're going to like understand like a whole different level. You're going to fall in love with him like I did. So we're going to have you back. Thank you so much. If you have one last tip, right, about sort of like the energy of this approach, like how ladies can like stop being in battle and being empowered in a way that they're really embracing their femininity. What would that be? Like, how do you have like, are you adamant about this, but you're also like soft, not in your masculine?
Again, it's the approach. And I walk them ladies through a process. I teach them, lower your voice. If you're screaming and hollering, he knows you're out of control. Lower your voice. And then here's what you are going to do. And I'm going to teach them exactly what to do. And you got to get rid of fear, ladies. You got to get rid of fear because fear paralyzes. Here's what happens with most women. Most women get to the point where you don't want to disturb his comfort zone. Angela didn't give a smelly poop about my comfort zone. She said, dude, if you don't change, I'm out.
Yep.
I said, okay. I'm better. I got it. Right? You got to get rid of the fear because fear paralyzes you into activity. Right? You got to draw a line in the sand. You got to know what you want, and then you got to stand for it. But you can't be a baboon and an ape, right? You got to do it ladylike. You never have to sacrifice your dignity to get what you want in your relationship. Here's what I need you to know as I conclude. You are a heck of a lot more powerful than you realize. But no one has taught you how to use your power to your benefit because you give it all away. I'm going to teach you how to get it back.
Oh, my God. I love this. Ladies, let Frank life check yourself. This has been so much fun. Again, the book you want to get, The Art of Womanhood, Teaching Your Man to Love You the Way You Want to Be Loved without him knowing he's being taught. Absolutely check out Frank. Share this with you. If you have a friend who you just like, girl needs to hear this, please share this episode. Frank and I have the same mission to help women stop putting up with shit and live powerful lives and stay alive. Don't die of a broken heart. I love that message. You can subscribe to us on YouTube if you have not done that yet. And of course, you can find more about us and what we're doing these days on Instagram, Marni Battista _, or you can find me on Facebook, Marni Battista. Yes, I am proud that I am still on Facebook. No threads, Twitters, tweeters for me. I'm OG. Ladies, again, thank you, Frank, for being here. Life check yourself, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP, that's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to dwdvip.com. I'm Marni Battista, and let's talk soon.